because there's been a lot of talk about us obtaining pick 2. I feel like a lot of it's been largely driven maybe by North Melbourne, because they're the ones that are keen to get into the first round of the draft twice. And I think that sometimes what Kangaroos fans are sometimes missing is that if they want to get back into the draft twice to pick up whoever they want to pick up, then they're going to have to kind of pay for it to make it happen. We're happy to facilitate as long as it's to our advantage. But we've put together some of the possible scenarios that have been floated around, and these aren't necessarily our scenarios. These are just scenarios that have been floated around publicly that we thought we would speak about, and there may be other options as well. So I for a long time have been against the trading for pick 2 scenario, but when it comes down to this scenario 1 where Richmond would give up pick 6 and pick 11 and in return get pick 2 and a future first, which would then give us 1, 2, 10, 18, 20, and 23, plus the future first for next year, which could quite possibly end up being another top 6 pick. It's kind of hard to not look at that and go, okay, that's an interesting scenario for us to think about, because we're spreading it out across 2 years. Potentially, the early picks for next year could be used in a play for Cadman as well, or we just take them to the draft ourselves. But to get, at worst case, you've got 2 top 6 picks for next year already locked and loaded, which I don't think is anything to sniff at. So I'm not totally against it as long as the future first is included.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm still one of these people that want us to keep the picks we have. But if we were to trade for pick 2, I think this scenario here, 6 and 11 for 2 and North's future first, is probably the best outcome. I think giving up 6 would move four picks up in the draft, and giving up pick 11 for North's, essentially pick 11 for North's future first, that could easily be a 10 pick upgrade.
And I think it's worth saying as well that I dare say that if you're Richmond, the starting point would be 6 and 18, right, or 6 and 20. I don't think North Melbourne would accept that, and probably rightfully so. As much as we want to have a good win, of course, in trades, I think we have to be somewhat realistic. I don't think they'll take it. But then the question from a Richmond perspective becomes, are the players we're going to get at 1 and 2, let's assume it's Lawler and Finn O'Sullivan, because that's kind of what's been floated, is the difference between them two so much greater than what's going to be available at 6, whether it be Jagger Smith, whether it be Langford or Murphy Reid, someone like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't really look at that right now, because, as you said, the future first for North could be used next year. I mean, next year you never know what's going to happen. Some players are going to absolutely, jump the boards like obviously Alex Taru has this year. Jump from outside the top 30 into a top 10, top 5 pick. So definitely, I think we're definitely banking on North, obviously finishing similar next year. I really can't see them developing massively outside of top 5 or top 6 pick in the draft. So yeah, we'll definitely try and keep 11 if we can. But it'll definitely be one of 10 or 11 that we give back, because North won't do 18 and 6.
Now, Andy, just to address this, I think you're actually a little bit off the mark here. It's not fantasy. North Melbourne want to get into this draft twice. They don't want to use the number 2 pick on Taru where they can get him at 6 and or 11, because no one else is possibly going to take him. So it's not that fanciful. It's a simple equation. If North are desperate enough and they want to get into 2 picks inside the draft, then they're going to have to pay overs to make it happen. It's pretty simple. So I don't know why you're being a little bit toey about it, but it's North Melbourne who are wanting to get into the draft. So like with trades with contracted players, if you want that asset, you've got to pay up for it. So they're going to have to pay up something nice for us to accept. Otherwise, we'll happily walk to the draft with the picks that we've got. Okay. Now, there's a couple other scenarios we've got here as well. So scenario 2, eliminating the pick 6 factor. So Richmond would give up pick 10 and pick 11, which I believe equates. I know points is a bit of a weird thing, but I think it equates to about pick 2 or 3 points wise. North Melbourne give up pick 2 plus a future second, and that would give us picks 1, 2, 6, 18, 20, 23. So we hold on to that pick 6. We obviously gain pick 2. So you've got 3 picks within the inside the first 6, which opens up a lot more opportunities. But then you lose that back-to-back pick of 10 and 11. I'm not sure whether North would do this anyway, unless they firmly believe they can get their player at that spot. But yeah, it was just another interesting scenario to throw up for this one.
I personally think that we won't give up 10 and 11 in a package deal. As I think we'll probably give up 6, only for the simple fact from what I'm hearing, there's a chance that both Armstrong and Smiley could be there at pick 10 and 11. With the way that the draft's working out, there have been some players who have risen in clubs' ranks after the combine. So there's a very small chance that both players are there, and I doubt we'd give up both 10 and 11 if that's the case.
Fair enough. And that's why we throw in all different types of scenarios. Scenario 3, which I think is the one that people would maybe favour more if they had to, is Richmond give up pick 6 and pick 18. And I dare say we would probably start that conversation at pick 20 if we were able to. And North Melbourne give up pick 2 plus a future third. So the new picks would be 1, 2, 10, 11, 20, 23. So we still get 1 and 2, and then we go back to back again at 10 and 11. That I think that one probably seems the most enticing. If it meant giving up 6 but still keeping 10 and 11, that would be the most enticing in my eyes. But again, I don't know if it's enticing enough for North.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think this will be the one that I reckon if we do trade for pick 2 will be the trade that gets it done. Obviously, North will probably want 10 and 11. And we want to do the one where we get 2 first. So I think this is probably the in-between where both clubs walk away and say, okay, well, that's sort of fair enough.
Yeah, and I think to Shane's point, realistically, if we're talking about getting pick 2, if we're being serious, pick 6 is going to have to be involved in some way. I can't see North wanting to slide down any further than that if they're giving up the number 2 pick and potentially a future first rounder as well. So I think scenario 3 would be ideal. But like I said, I'm just not sure whether North would agree to it. However, if they're desperate enough and we're the only one coming to them with an offer, maybe they've got no choice and maybe that's what they're banking on. I did put up a 4th scenario, though. 4th scenario is that Lowell North will take the picks that we've got, thanks, and Blair will just go and do his thing as per the numbers or the names that he and Toshe had been working on all year. So that means we would take our 1, 6, 10, 11, 18, 20, and 23. Now, to be fair, we're probably not going to use all 8 picks. I do think that we are going to use 6 and swap 2 at some point for future picks for next year, which is most likely going to be 23 and 24. But yeah, it's just an interesting set of scenarios because the talk's starting to heat up. Jaden Stevenson obviously he retired today, so that frees up the list spot that helps kind of maybe keep this flowing and accommodating. But yeah, St Kilda could come in over the top with an offer. Yeah, I don't know. What do you reckon the chances are of it getting done?
I still reckon it gets done. If we're dead set on getting Lawler and O'Sullivan as the combo package, we'll find a way to get it done. But we also need to look at our later picks as well, because they can be on-traded for later picks, slip back in the draft, which we can use to upgrade, a couple of rookies off the list. I believe Bauer's still a rookie. So yeah, don't be surprised if picks like 23 and 24 end up being on-traded on the night for a pick in the 40s or 50s plus a future second.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what will end up happening with those picks. So yeah, there's a few different scenarios, and to Rocco's point, and this is probably the most important point to remember, it's a good problem to have